snowball and try and carry that momentum forward.
And that's what it's all about, that trophy right there. I forgot how beautiful it was for the Mid-Season Brawl. But let's get into it. Game number 1 in this best of 5. This is an elimination series. One of these teams is going home. One of them will advance through the lower bracket.
Both of these teams, have played this map once throughout this tournament, with Ballistix winning their game and Tempo Storm losing theirs.
That's right. It's also important to note that the Volskaya ban comes in over Dragonshire, which I find very interesting. I felt like the Dragonshire games that Tempo Storm played over Ballistix, they had massive advantage on the Battleground in particular. So removing Volskaya, Tempo Storm has looked great on both Battlegrounds. They're only going to have one of the two this time, though. The Dragonshire they could potentially pick in this best of 5 later on. But it's that item control that Tempo Storm's known for on Volskaya that Ballistix fears further. Tempo Storm has first ban in this first map. We'll see what Ballistix wants to go to here, because I think taking the priority away from the Garrosh, or sorry, taking priority on Garrosh, taking that away from Tempo Storm, removing the Jaina, these are things we saw Tempest find great success with yesterday. They even banned the Maiev. They're not willing to face off against it here.
I personally feel like Ballistix are a lot more comfortable in this second rotation, as the last 3 times they've encountered Tempo Storm, they've always been the ones to first pick. They've heavily prioritized SC on the Genji in their first pick rotation, but it just left far too many power picks to come through as a result. Generally speaking, it was the Mouth Garrosh as that rotation. But this time with Garrosh available and Tempo Storm locking in that Malfurion, I'd really like to see Hooligan be put on a hero, not only denying that away from Cattle, but also just allowing him to stay alive, not be the one that's diving deep, but sort of counter-engaging the aggression that we know that Tempo Storm have.
I also wouldn't mind seeing Ballistix just, in theory, we've seen them struggle on a couple other supports. I wouldn't actually mind them seeing going into Garrosh Stukov pretty early. It's going to be Garrosh Hanzo coming in here, so they do want to lock down a little bit of damage, especially with both Maiev and Genji being removed. So committing to that, this does allow Tempo, if they feel comfortable, to try and deny a couple picks here. Stukov could be removed, as it's been the Ballistix go-to after Malfurion.
We've seen so much Hanzo from Tempo Storm, and it's about the damage, it's about the initiation potential you have with the Dragon's Arrow. And so many times you'll see flanks come out where the team that's trying to dive in, trying to be aggressive, just suddenly finds themselves stuck, unable to retreat because the arrow comes through. And I really do feel that it's about burst, as you guys are saying, but oftentimes also about initiation for Tempo Storm. So taking this Hanzo early is also a removal pick here for Ballistix.
Generally speaking, if we look at the series, at least in the first 2 games of the group stages, Maiev and Tracer were the bans. Tempo Storm actually the ones to ban away that Tracer. So this time, we're going to get to see what they can do with that. We're going to get a bit of a glimpse into how much power they have in a very Korean fashion to try and isolate down a target, try and go for that kill. I was wondering if we were going to see a tank pickup in that rotation, but now I'm looking for Ballistix and wondering where they go. I would personally be thinking it's going to be the ETC ban. Don't feel that the Johanna has as much value on a map like Tales of Doom, and it caters to that idea of CC overlap, easy pickings for the Malfurion routes, as well as the drag from the Dahaka.
Yeah, so it's not really a situation, I think, with Dahaka already on the table where you can run a Tassadar support here and go double support Tracer. It doesn't feel like that's the style of Tempo Storm really either. They are just going to remove the Jaina. This is where I was going to go towards. They learned a lot from Tempest yesterday. If you just take the Jaina away, Tempo Storm loses a lot of their burst potential, the most bursty mage in the game at the moment. And Tempo Storm is the only team that's found great success with Jaina. And if you just simply remove it, you force them to play differently. And that's what they struggled to do yesterday. So taking a page out of Tempest's book here, and I worry for Tempo Storm if in this draft they can't make this Tracer pick work. They're not going to get the Maiev anymore. They're not going to get Jaina. What you see at the top left next to Ballistix logo there, their bans may just be permanent throughout this series, and Tempo Storm will have to adapt in this best of 5.
Sounds reasonable, actually. It's very much these have all been linchpins for Tempo Storm's style. That hard engage into burst. You already mentioned the ETC there, Skimmy. It could still come out here, but now they are lacking a lot of follow-up. If they wanted to go for a mage, for example, as a follow-up, they're going to be a little more stuck for choices, especially against that Garrosh, where Jaina can be extremely effective in preventing him getting close enough for that toss.
I think Wolf raises actually a really good point about the Jaina and the Maiev being permanent fixtures here for Ballistix, but if we actually compare this to what Ballistix did up against Heroes Half yesterday, Heroes Half were locking in Jaina in that first rotation before that ban could even come out. So it depends really when Tempo Storm going forward in this series really try to understand where does this actually prioritize. What is the strength of this pick? Do we feel that we need to rely on this hero to try and get some kills?
And Ballistix is getting exactly the same composition they got on Towers of Doom yesterday, minus the Zeratul. It's banned against them, of course, but otherwise identical here against what Tempo Storm is drafting. It didn't work well for them yesterday, and I'm worried it's not going to go any differently today. We need to find a hero here that can deal with Hanzo, but there's already a Blaze, there's already a bunker. How do you really find a way in here?
I mean, it's a great defensive tool against the Tracer, right? I'd already had Blaze and Stukov written down before they even locked it in, because it feels so obvious at this point when you need something against like a Tracer and you need a support that isn't Malfurion.
And a solo laner.
Yeah.
Which, with Dahaka already on the board, they're still missing global potential, of course, until Hanzo hits level 20.
Yeah.
But this is a solid pickup for holding the lane against Dahaka, preventing too much of an advantage being gained. So now what will we see from Tempo Storm? Once again, we need something to get to the Hanzo. Tracer can already do it. Lunara. Now, the Thornwood Vine here could be the poking tool that they do need here to do so. We did see a Leaping Strike Lunara yesterday.
We did.
Did struggle a little bit. Fan accidentally did kill himself on a fort one time. That was quite amusing. But overall, it was nice to see the burst, and it was nice to see them adjust the style. But I feel the Poke Thornwood Vine version might be a little bit better here to try and work down that Hanzo.
There's that adaptation with the Johanna coming in at the very end, as opposed to, I mean, if the J-Node had gone through, definitely would have seen the ETC, in my opinion, just to try and collapse them towards the target, look for that one-shot combo that we've seen Tempo Storm do all tournament long. But they're going to try and play a little bit slower, try and dictate the pace, and look to slow people down. The Phoenix, it seems to be a Korean favorite, right? If you have some aggression, just play that backline, play it safe, poke from afar. If you're going to get jumped upon, you've got that warp to safety. And that salvo, obviously we cannot emphasize the salvo enough. It just shoots from afar and does a lot.
I mean, of course, Tempest were victorious against Tempo Storm yesterday with Phoenix. It was Dragonshire. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm still a little bit dubious about the Phoenix role as a whole.
I'm feeling a little bit weird about the Phoenix. It feels like it was more of a disengage concept, you know, with basically saying you're going to collapse on us, you're going to continue to play your initiation style, you're going to try to burst. Phoenix has tons of mobility, so he gets away. I would have actually personally preferred a Li Ming here, just for SDE's comfort pick and how much burst he could have done in the fights.
Well, of course, make sure to keep those hashtags rolling in Twitch chat, but we are going to go for predictions here, starting with Mr. Tetra.
I really do like Ballistix bans this time, but I'm going to still lean towards Tempo Storm. I really think that Ballistix, they're starting to adjust, but I don't think they're there just yet. So I'm going to give game number 1 to Tempo Storm, and I might readjust as the games continue.
Okay.
I've throughout this tournament, I've gone with Tempo Storm a few times. I've made a few mistakes, but I'm going to go KR greater than NA this time. I think Ballistix is finally adapted, so Ballistix here.
Fair play.
My thoughts exactly. They've done their research. They've got their map pick. They've got the Jaina. They've got plenty of slows to try and get the Phoenix to do some DPS. And I feel like it's becoming a situation where Tempo Storm get a little bit scared about certain picks being taken away from them and their strength starts to lag. We're going to see what's going to happen, but I'm going to stick with Ballistix.
Yeah, despite the results from this tournament so far, I think in the best of 5 series it might be a little bit different. So we'll see. I think I'm going to go with Ballistix to start things off. And again, you know, if Tempo Storm proves me wrong, I will happily be proven wrong when it comes to this series, considering what they've done so far throughout the tournament. Let's see what you guys think at home. 58% to Tempo Storm over the 42 to Ballistix coming into day number 2. But again, this one's a very important one, and something that, again, from this tournament, throughout the tournament, has been very storied, and so far, Tempo Storm has got the better edge of the deal. Let's check in with our commentator team, who's going to bring you the series. And guys, what do you think about this draft?
Dread, they're not behind the 3-0. Tempo Storm 3-0, not enough to have faith in Ballistix. What about you?
I mean, I've got faith in Tempo Storm purely on one fact. Jung Ha looks a little bit weak in the offlane on the Blaze, and they also have a Stukov without the double gap closer. Since they've gotten here, they've actually struggled with the Stukov if they don't have somebody to body block on the point. But I do agree, you know, the Lunara pickup and things like might be too difficult here for Tempo.
I did say despite the results, so, you know, I understand that they did well, so we shall see, Have fun, guys.
Thank you very much. And Jay Howe, here we are ready to get into it again. As the analyst has kind of broke it down, Tempo Storm has had very good success here up against Ballistix, but Ballistix has been rising through the ranks, getting the adjustment here, unlike what we typically see out of Korea. And suddenly what happens here when the beast awakes? We're about to find out.
Seems like the tide is turning here for Ballistix. They're going to see if they can start to take control here in this best of 5, as it will be Hooligan on the Garage, SC on Hanzo, Jung Ha on Blaze, Magi on Stukov, and SDE on Phoenix.
And here in the red, going to be keeping Tempo Storm in North America's dreams alive is going to be June on the Malfurion, Glarong playing Dahaka, Tracer played by Psalm, Fan on that Lunara, and Caterpillar on Johanna.
You know, Dread, I was having a conversation this morning, and it's just like, if Tempo Storm is going to win, I said they have to at least be able to take a game on Tracer. I didn't expect it game number 1, but they're coming out making a statement here in the early part, and we were up here debating on who we would see on that Tracer. It will be Psalm, since Lunara was picked up, obviously going to be Fan's hero as we get things started with a skirmish mid lane.
Yeah, and again, to kind of bring it back to what I was talking about a bit with that Stukov, first off is that I highlighted in the last series that we got out of Ballistix is that Hooligan's garage priority, it's been one of the higher banned heroes. Hooligan typically thrives in the warrior role whenever he has the opportunity to get the gap closer with the hard crowd control. Now, Garrosh, amazing in the crowd control department, not so much with that gap closer. So I think it's going to be a lot of reliance on Jungha onto the off lane, which again was another topic point that I brought up. He oftentimes does not use his kind of oil and the flame combo to heal himself. It's very, very offensive, and more often than not, especially with a weaker healer like Stukov, that is something that can really hurt the team.
See where the resources do come in. In the old days of Tempo Storm, especially when we see this positioning here between the Garrosh Phoenix mid, Tempo Storm using that global would sometimes try and get that early invade. I think against the Garrosh Stukov, maybe not the invade you want, but they do have the sources to go in. As we see
Pulse
the
bomb?
rotation down, there's going to be Pulse Bomb. Hooligan may have overextended here, Dre.
Yeah, Magi's going to be there with a couple of heals. Brush shot coming in from Glorong, not even going to need the drag there as the poison is enough coming out from Fan and Tempo Storm. Not only get first blood, but as you said, that highlighting the Dahaka rotation down to get the double sapper. I mean, conveniently enough, the kill on Hooligan is definitely going to add to that, but this is a Tempo Storm classic, and part of the reason they are one of the more dominant Towers of Doom teams within the North American region.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a while since we've seen that, and I think here making a statement, obviously Hooligan kind of brought himself to the fight there, but as you can see, Stukov Lurking Arm does create a silence for those sappers, so definitely thwarting that off. So we'll see if Tempo Storm elects to maybe try and escort these next ones in. As we can see, Glaurung Jangha. Glaurung did make it up in time to make sure not to miss too much soak there.
Yeah, respect to also what you see with that kind of small movement from Glaurung trying to tank as much of the damage without actually getting the auto attack animation from the minions off. It's a good way to slow down your minion wave without actually taking and see all the siege damage that they can kind of get onto the hero there. Just those small things we typically see at this high end, some of the best offlaners in the world at the Mid-Season Brawl. But for now, Tempo Storm has set the tone of this match, but Hooligan looking to trade that out there. Nice route once again coming out from June, and that is something we got to keep our eyes on. As I said, Hooligan on warriors without gap closers, he typically is going to, positioning-wise be struggling that much more. And if June keeps punishing him with those routes, Tempo Storm might have, again, more success than they have already had against Ballistix.
Yeah, June opting to go for the vengeful routes, which has been very popular for him. He's very accurate with those, and he'll have multiple opportunities. So continuing to stack that up as normal. As we see June, he's going to rotate down. He should have the interrupt here on SC in a moment. Dahaka, Glaurung has not made his way over to his altar yet. We'll see if that's played around. As Psalm dives in with a little bit of threat on that side there. There's going to be one interrupt. Let's see if we get two.
Yeah, Lurking Arm was already used, so a couple seconds, so that's going to come back. June ends up getting the channel. Nice interrupt from SC. As the top right consumed there for Tempo Storm. Now going to make the transition down. Glaurung actually getting flipped over. Psalm goes in with the pulse bomb onto SDE, sends him down to 50%, but the shielding will be back here in a moment. Groundbreaker used along with the silence. Nice scouting arrow is actually going to get the interrupt there, and the jet propulsion locking down too. Tempo Storm has to get out.
Backing up for now, everybody is down here from both members. Glaurung very low in terms of health. Looks like Magi should be able to complete the channel, and Tempo Storm Dread, they were close a couple of times, but SC coming in with that interrupt at the last second. It's now given Ballistix that early lead in their first three altars.
And I think that kind of goes back to what you highlighted with the top altar decision-making from Tempo Storm. Generally speaking, when we do see that high Dahaka priority, it's not only based on those sappers, but on that first rotation, the threat that they're going to be able to get. I can't help but feel like that rotation, 5 to 10 seconds slower than Tempo Storm is used to. And part of the reason we saw dominance there from Ballistix, even with what I would argue is a not optimal opening, especially when looking at the Lurking Arm usage over that first skirmish. So fighting back here going to be Ballistix, and we'll see if Tempo Storm has any interest over this sapper camp that Ballistix has looked to pick up.
I was thinking about this composition when I see this, and that's going to be a pulse bomb takedown. Very good job there by Tempo Storm. But Lunara, again, Splintered Spear has been so dominant in that 7 tier for the longest time. Since the rework, this is now the second time we're seeing. The more stacks you have, obviously, you hit that Noxious Blossom on that target, it does more single target damage. When you have Phoenix, he can warp out of a pulse bomb. He obviously didn't there. Hanzo maybe saved there, maybe a bunker. So maybe putting some pressure on that front line is a decision here for Fan. So an interesting pickup And again, now 2 for 2 when we've seen him in the last 2 games.
And I think another thing to look at when considering Tempo Storm's composition is when you have a Dahaka offlaner compared to the Blaze, you want a very strong 1-4. And the Tracer Lunara with the prep, the slow, Tracer has the execution capabilities together. The 4-man capabilities is very, very strong. Not as much synergy as you maybe normally would like to see within the Warrior support combo there, but they very much make up for it when it comes to the damage here. Tempo Storm 3/4 of a level up when it comes to experience here after that siege through the mid lane. Now looking to back out as we got 2 seconds until these altars spawn. June looking to pick up top right. We'll see if Cattle has any interest in interrupting Moggy there.
Yeah, I think early games sometimes it's like, all right, you get your side, I'll get my side, we'll meet up in a little bit. However, experience Dreadnought in favor of Tempo Storm. We're going to find out if that experience stays here because now they got the gank here on Glaurung. Essence is used, will be able to press his W, and that allows him to pass right on through.
Yeah, that's
a little bit of return damage.
That's a very important thing to highlight there is he waited until the body block became a real thing and then used the Dark Swarm. It's one of the few abilities in the entirety of Heroes of the Storm that allows you to negate a body block there, and a great usage there from Glaurung. And I want to bring it back to what I was talking about a little bit with mainly Jungha off onto the Blaze and then also Glaurung. When Tempo Storm is at their weakest within the North American region, it is without a doubt when Glaurung is able to get picked. And I feel like at MSP, he has shown time and time again that he has been able to have far better map sense than we saw into the past. So I would like to see Ballistix maybe, focus a little bit more to trying to pick onto him, and maybe that same kind of thought process out from Tempo Storm, because the offlaners for both of these teams really feel like to be the breaking point oftentimes whenever they're on their whenever they're at their weakest really here. Tempo Storm with their 10 advantage though, looking to pick up a bit of siege here, and much like North America typically shows on Towers of Doom, heavy priority on that bottom lane.
Yeah, now with that Sapper Camp respawning, 10 picked up for Ballistix, so they will be able to contest this. Again, you can see on the minimap, Blaze making that rotation down in case Dahaka comes in. It's allowing him to kind of double soak, so we see a little bit of pressure put onto SDE there. Also, Fan going into Leaping Strike again. June, however, Dreadnought still waiting. Any thoughts on Tranquility versus Twilight Dream?
I feel like because of the Blaze, that puts you in a position to where Tranquility is going to gain you more in the long run. It's the safer decision, especially with squishy backline, but they might want that one-shot, one-kill. Hold up, though. Cattle able to juke the jet propulsion. Hooligan, though, is going to go ahead and flip him over. Taunt is dropped there, but Hooligan taking a lot of damage. There comes the Tranquility out along with the Salvo, but it's really only going to land onto 2. Tempo Storm is doing their best here to try to kite away, but June getting tracked down from Ballistix there, and they end up picking up a kill, but it comes at the cost of the shots. Glaurung there with the sneaky brush stock picks up that bottom altar.
Yeah, the priority was there as Glaurung gonna get knocked out, at least for the moment, but he did pick up that altar, evening up the score 28-28, but now it looks like it's opened up an opportunity here for Ballistix, as now they're on the invade side of Tempo Storm. No support still for several seconds. It looks like Tempo Storm just gonna have to concede, let this go.
Not gonna have that lurking arm deny like we've seen out of Ballistix here with these sappers, so a bit of siege damage. When it's all said and done here, about nearly tied up between the two teams. Dead even when it comes to those shots, and experience was rounded out after that one pick here. So now we got to start considering what do the 5-man team fights look like. Now that we've made it to 10, Tempo Storm has not gotten a big enough snowball off of that kind of early game threat that Tracer is able to provide, and again with that Dahaka brush stalking. And I feel like when it goes to raw 5 versus 5, Ballistix does have the upper hand in a lot of cases here, unless Hooligan gets caught out. Post bomb dropped after that. Indomitable, but they come in with the Blessed Shield, the Leaping Strike as well. Taunt is used, but it's not enough to survive here. Tempo Storm pick up another kill.
They're punishing the position of Hooligan. And with a Stukov, you've got one chance at a heal. I was actually wondering there, Fan had used one of his leaping charge strikes to help finish that sapper. I was like, is he going to get out of there? As Bunker used right after the isolation, no feeding frenzy cooldown there, able to get another tongue in there. So did burn a cooldown. Now the bottom lane control in favor of Tempo Storm. Experience advantage in favor. And right now, Dread, starting to look a lot like opening week.
Yeah, it's looking a lot like opening week here, and it's even, kind of a more dire situation here, not only because of the talent tier advantage that Tempo Storm has for about quarter of a level, but with a double altar control on the bottom half of the map, these altars are very difficult to approach. Bottom near non-existent for Ballistix. June's going to pick that up for now, so Tempo just looking to get the delay, and then 5-man initiate in a moment. Dahaka doing his best on the top half, but jet propulsion comes in onto Fan, a lot of pressure there, and already we see Psalm getting locked down. There's the recall. He triple blinks out, but SC is trying to hunt him down. June there with the heals and the peel, but Tempo Storm is completely split.
Sidestep there, and June with the save on the roots is going to keep this fight going here as Tempo Storm still with that talent tier advantage.
I don't
And some
think they can take
heroics
this.
were used. Now we're going to see Tempo Storm again. Tracer went back to tap. You can see that on the minimap, but the Dahaka flank starting to come in as well, Dreadnought.
Iron Skin already used Condemn. Glarong trying to make something happen there. He hits the Dragon to the backline, but into the fray, keeps him alive. Jungha survives with the bunker. Jet propulsion out. Fan getting the leaping strike, but the salvo goes in, ripping Tempo apart. They keep themselves alive. Hooligan now with the drag, the post bomb, and he is out of here.
Tempo Storm is putting on a clinic right now in these team fights, and June has somehow kept them alive every step of the way. I have no idea how. The play there by SC, but the sidestep, the roots, everything. Had that gone a different way, we could be looking at a different fight, but Tempo Storm holding on in these clutch moments, and they are executing well, still holding on to this bot lane. It looks like Ballistix, they want to try and reclaim control. We'll see if Tempo Storm can hold on to it for now.
And we oftentimes in these situations question the siege capabilities. Blessed Shield actually used the Dragon to land onto Magi. Massive Shove was interrupted with that drag so that he can't push them away. Glarong trying to track it down, but not enough damage there with the Dark Swarm. Burrow used, but there is a lurking arm waiting for him when he gets out of the ground there. Hooligan not able to hit the Groundbreaker, and Tempo Storm hold control of the bottom belt tower.
That was a close moment, I think, for both teams. As you can see, both with the counter punches trying to make the plays, unable to do so with this tower low. I don't know if Tempo Storm can hold. They're going to try, but they do have the sieging capabilities with a Phoenix, and you can't step out too far. So I'm looking for an opening, trying to find some damage in of his own sapper camps. Going to be cleared up. Ballistix looks like they're finally going to reclaim control of this bot lane, but Dread, we're entering the 5th altar phase, and it's triple altars coming up soon.
I feel like it's one of those situations where it is a silver lining here, but the damage has been done by Tempo Storm, not only with the 10-shot advantage, but because they are rounding what is going to be the 16 talent here, and it's a big enough advantage that they are likely going to be able to hold off all 3 of these altars, or at least 2 of them. 8 more shots, now sending, Ballistix down to 10 HP. That is not a position you want to be in. If you're losing that hard in shots, you have to be winning in experience, and that is very much not the case, at least so far. So we'll see if Tempo can really threaten that out here, because they still need to achieve that 16 as we are 10 seconds out, posturing over that bottom altar.
That mid lane is so low. The sappers are going to be pushing into that top lane as well, that eventually this map could open up heavily in favor of Tempo Storm. Dahaka just now making his way over to the top right, but you can see Garrosh, Hooligan, and team, they're coming over here. They're looking for a fight, Dread. They've got the taunt.
They hit the taunt, but he has the Burrow opportunity, and only the passive keeps Glarong alive. He lands the Dragon to SDE. They come in with the Condemn. Glarong still falling very low. Dragon Zero lockdown 3. Magi with a lurking arm. Blessed Shield trying to buy time, but no opportunity to be able to ice block. The flip back there, June keeps himself alive for only a matter of seconds. Fan gets the leaping strike, trying to kite out here, but Ballistix just dominate. 3 for 0 there in that fight. Down a 16 talent here at that.
Just the fact that they were willing to make that play and initiate that, and I almost wondered, was it worth it? And you saw that June, he popped that Tranquility, tried to keep Glarong alive, and I was like, maybe this is an overcommitment, but then Tempo Storm continued to aggress directly into this, and I don't know if that was the correct call, because I think they just opened the door for Ballistix to get back in.
And that's one of those moments where Ballistix took advantage of Tempo Storm expecting their opponent to take the standard play, which is, okay, I cannot aggress to your side of the battleground without that 16 talent here, so you think the one that's the closest to neutral bottom is going to be the one Ballistix make that transition. They go, well, Tempo Storm, if you are not going to send anybody other than the Dahaka, we're going to feign the rotation, make the transition upward, and a very good job of getting that punishment here for Ballistix. They do catch up almost in shots and experience, and suddenly the control that Tempo Storm had is now gone. Tempo looking to invade here. Cattle already with the Iron Skin down, drops the blind. Glarong with the brushstock on the backline, and the Blessed Shield ends up getting used, but Johanna and Malfurion just get dominated there into the fray. No jet propulsion follow-up just yet. Fan trying to get past that wall of death. Scattering arrow from SC is enough there. 3 for nothing, and now Glarong stuck on an island's going down. Ballistix just turn this game around.
Things spiraling out of control. I don't know what happened. Obviously, we had an incredible setup there by Magi to get that root, taking advantage of that 13. He got that. Glarong came in on the backside. I don't know if he missed the tongue or the isolation was off cooldown. He hit the isolation, but it was seconds into that, so I don't know what happened there. I'd like to watch the
replay. He body blocked it. Somebody body blocked it. When he came in with the brush stock, immediately SDE moved over and wore the drag and the isolation opportunity, so there is no way to interrupt Magi with that lurking arm stuck there in that point. It was a good initiation from Tempo Storm, but just clever playing around the predictability of the brush stock play that Tempo has on that Dahaka. With the bell tower control heavily now in favor of Ballistix after that double skirmish wipe, they're now sitting in a position that it's these altars have to go over to Ballistix. It's just, can Tempo Storm get the recovery? They're going to take the high-risk play. Oh, Tempo Storm. I can't help but feel like this is the moment where things fall apart here. Dahaka still yet to join this skirmish.
Going in, no 20 yet. There's going to be the charge. Psalm with the dodge there. There's a huge Dragon Arrow into the silence. That is 2 members down on Tempo Storm. And Dread, things continue to fall apart here for Tempo in the late game as Psalm falls before this altar phase. Fan gets away, but this is not looking good if you're a Tempo fan.
Don't get me wrong, Ballistix is an absolutely amazing team here, but I have never seen a game turn so heavily in favor of one team to, within a minute, just 2 fights, completely swing the momentum into the other side of the battlefield here. Tempo Storm maybe biting off more than can chew. Drag gonna land there onto Jungha, but in the end, it is not going to have enough threat there as the Sappers do make their way in. Tempo Storm now with only 8 shots remaining onto the core HP, and the biggest deficit here has got to be looking at that experience.
It might even be a 6 cap. Let's see if Hooligan can get the toss in. Glaurung, nice burrow, able to dodge it, but is he gonna take too much damage? He is, and that's gonna be another takedown as SC and team.
And now it just rain shots.
Picking them apart. Just absolutely picking them apart. I don't know if Tempo Storm can get in here,
I don't
Greg.
think they can. Bottom is the only place where they have anything realistic other than mid, but now it's going to be a 5-man defense. Scatter Arrow opportunity and Dragon's Arrow down below as you see SC kind of poking and prodding around here. 6 shots, 5 shots now remain on Tempo Storm's core. They have to be able to convert this bell tower, but the defense is too real here. Magi with the massive shove. Salvo's going to go down. Tempo Storm, this is their last stand. The Dragon's Arrow buys a bit of time. 3 shots remain onto the core. They get the conversion, but at the cost of 3 members.
I think that might be all she wrote, because that, with 2 members down, well, let's make that 3 as SC is trying to put this puppy to bed. This turnaround, Dreadnought, that one play on that triple altar phase seems to have just turned this game on its head. In Tempo Storm, it seems like they got antsy. They got desperate in one of the worst times. I am just surprised at the manner in which this game is inevitably about to end.
Yeah, there's now, whether it be through the Sappers or the altars, at this point in time, nobody's going to be alive from Tempo Storm to be able to defend that out. And this looks like it is going to very much be a GG as all 3 shots are let through there. Tempo Storm fall, and Ballistix with an amazing turnaround on Towers of Doom.
You don't see too many games like that, I can tell you that much, but give credit for Ballistix, the clutch rotations, knowing how to take advantage of it. And the minute they picked up any bit of momentum, Dread, they did not let go. That is the team that is hungry to go. That was a clinic post level 13, 16, wherever we were at that point. I just still surprised at that.
And I think one of the most devastating things when I look at that